I'm now here with Johnson, CEO of Tenet Fintech, formerly Peak Fintech, a 3D portfolio company. Tenet is an AI-powered network providing small and medium-sized businesses with the tools, resources, and services they need to succeed. Tenet subsidiaries offer various analytics and AI-based products and services to businesses, capital markets professionals, government agencies, and financial institutions, either through or leveraging data gathered by the Cubeler Business Hub, which is a global ecosystem where analytics and AI are used to create opportunities and facilitate B2B transactions among its members. Johnson, please start by giving us a rough overview of your background, why the company was founded, and its goals.
First of all, thank you, Hector, for the opportunity here. I'll start with a little bit of about my background. Yes, I'm a capital markets person, so I worked in the capital markets industry for about 10 years. And I noticed what was going on and how important macroeconomic data was to the capital markets, right? But you have in Canada, you have Statistics Canada. In the US, you have the US Census Bureau that publishes a series of macroeconomic figures on a monthly basis. Typically, when they publish the information, the information is typically a few weeks old. When they publish the information. Now, whenever the information comes out, for example, retail sales, right? You see, the stats will come out and say, hey, retail sales were up, 2% last month compared to the previous month, and that information has an impact on the capital markets, and there's a reason for that, right? Now, I saw this, and I saw the increasing importance of data. Right. So I was thinking to myself, there's got to be a way, to get better data and more timely data, right? The way the government goes about gathering this information is they send out surveys to the small and medium-sized businesses, and then typically, like, they'll get a what I'll say is a small sample size in terms of response rate, right? And then they extrapolate the information. But again, more importantly, the data is dated. By the time they gather all the information, they compile everything, they're publishing data, let's say on, results of May, they're publishing that information in June, sometimes in July, depending on what that information is. Now, I said to myself, well, what if we went directly to the small businesses? What if there was another way to get this information from the small businesses and have the information almost on a daily basis? Now, I'm sure that capital markets people would be willing to pay a premium for that. So that's where the company, the idea for the company started. And I created the Cubeler Business Hub as the mechanism by which this information would be gathered.
Brilliant. That's a very good answer. And it sounds like you were in AI and data way before anyone else. When was this? What year was this?
It was a while back ago. It was 2016, 2017. Wow. So we really launched the first version of the Business Hub in China. And interestingly enough, the way I thought about gathering this information originally, the company first started, the Business Hub, it was done by a company called Cube-ler, which is the company that I founded. So the name of the company is Cube-ler, and the name of the platform is the Business Hub. So I started Cube-ler back in 2016, and the idea was to offer a series of services for free to small and medium-sized businesses in exchange for giving access to their data from their accounting software system to the platform, right? But when we ported the application in China in 2017, because of the fact that the Chinese culture is a little bit different. For example, in China, as an individual or a small business, you can't just decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to launch a website. So a lot of the services that we provide through the Business Hub are web-based, right? You need to have a website basically to take advantage of the services. For example, one of the things that we offer is we offer you to advertise your products and services for free on the platform, right? Well, if you don't have a website per se, it's not going to be that beneficial to you, right? And also the ability to network is another advantage that we offer our members, right? So exploring business opportunities and so on and so forth. Well, that requires a presence on the web. Unfortunately, in China, like I said, you can't just, start a website if you're a small business owner. You actually have to apply for a license and get a license from the government. It's complicated. So we had to find a different way to access the data in China. So we started offering value-added services, basically. Yeah, we offered purchase order financing to certain businesses up and down the supply chain. We offered not networking, excuse me, logistics services, shipping, and so on and so forth. And exchange for that, the small and medium-sized business gave us access to their data, but we also charged a small fee for providing these services. We're kind of like breaking even because a lot of those services were provided by third-party partners of us in China. So the intent in China wasn't necessarily to generate a lot of revenue from the transactions that we're facilitating, but rather it was always about gathering data. And this is something that unfortunately the market never really grasped about our business. So they saw the transaction fees that were being generated with our operations in China as the main revenue, the main profit generator for the company. And it was never intended to be that. Now, we always knew that the transaction fees in China, yes, the revenue was going to increase, but that was not what was going to make the company profitable. So we started transitioning. Basically, the transaction fee model was kind of like a proof of concept that we had in China, where we showed that we had the ability to gather data from the small and medium-sized businesses. Now we're at the stage where we're transitioning from the transaction fee model to taking the data, and we're going to start monetizing this data in China as we are doing here in Canada.
Obviously, getting that data in China would have been harder than maybe normal, but you were able to do that because you're providing them with value, which is great. What's the easiest way to describe what Tenet Fintech does? How do you do what you do?
Okay.
In a few words or in a sentence, because you've kind of already said it, but yeah.
Okay, so I have to say, even if you look at the Tenet website right now, it's a little bit confusing, okay, in terms of what the company is about and what the company does, right? So one thing that we are doing is we are revamping the website to make it clear what we are. So what the company is, Hector, is first and foremost, we are a provider, a data provider for the capital markets, whether it's capital markets professionals or eventually individuals who utilize the capital markets basically to to create and manage their own investment portfolios. That's what the company is about. So Tenet is a company that has data and analytics basically to serve the capital markets. Essentially, that's what we are. So the new website is going to reflect that. There's even a little bit of there's even a new video, very short video that's going to be part of the website that explains what Tenet is all about.
So you've done a lot of these operations in China. Can you tell us the different products and services, even launching in North America, for example?
Okay, so we have two main products that we're going to be launching in North America. The first one is a product called IE Pulse. And this product essentially, as I mentioned earlier, about giving better data, macroeconomic data to the capital markets folks. So essentially what IE Pulse is, from the data that we gather on the small and medium-sized businesses, we're starting with Canada across the country. So we're trying to give a reflection of economic activity industry by industry. For example, I mentioned retail earlier. So we're gathering data on construction companies, on the restaurants, manufacturing companies, wholesalers, you name it, right? So the idea is to create these different indexes whereby the clients who are going to be subscribing to our data plans are going to be able to, for example, get the retail sales index, the Canadian retail sales index, where they're going to be able to see the variation of sales across the retail industry in Canada on a daily basis. So we will have information basically that changes on a daily basis. again, another example would be, I don't know, the Ontario Retail Inventory Index, right? Where people are going to be able to see the fluctuation of inventory values across the retail industry in the province of Ontario. So when you put it all together, IE Pulse is going to have in Canada almost 900 different indexes that we're going to give people access to. Excuse me, it's 9,000, not 900. So just in retail alone, we're going to have 900. But if you take a look at retail, construction, all of the 18 different industrial sectors, just in Canada alone, we'll have about 10,000 indexes for people to choose from.
Wow. It sounds like, I don't know if you've heard of the big yellow phone book in the UK, which is kind of an old school thing. It sounds like this is that on steroids, but a digital version, and giving people much more information than just, getting the sector phone number and at one line. It's like got their full, like sales and full data on the company, which is going to be hugely valuable.
Absolutely. We're very excited about this product. We really believe that once we come up with IE Pulse, it's going to have an impact on the capital markets, at least on capital markets professionals, because we're bringing data that is not available to them right now.
Who are the users of Cubeler Business Hub? Who would you say your ideal customer is?
The users of the Business Hub are small and medium-sized business owners and business executives. So we really want to, because we want the Business Hub to be a reflection of economic activity across the country. So there is no ideal client per se. So we really want to have a variety of businesses. So whether you are a small micro business, even you're a one-man operation, or you have less than 10 employees, it doesn't matter what industry you operate in. If you are a contributor to the local economy, then we want you on the platform, because we really want the Business Hub to be a reflection of economic activity wherever the Business Hub is set up. For example, in Canada, we really want every type of business from every industry, whether it's whether it's micro, small, or medium, to be part of the platform. And same thing in the US, same thing in China, same thing in the UK, and everywhere where we established the Business Hub.
And you touched on your IE Pulse products. Perhaps explain a little bit about what is Equity Insider, and then for all of these products, when do you plan on launching?
Okay, so yes, Equity Insider, contrary to IE Pulse, which is a product that is destined for capital markets professionals, right? We're looking at hedge fund managers, mutual fund managers, private equity investors, and so on and so forth, right? Institutional players. Equity Insider, on the other hand, is a product geared to the individual stock trader. So the person that basically uses information to manage their own investment portfolios.
Oh, wow.
So the idea behind Equity Insider, as the name suggests, is to provide information as if you were an insider, but you're not an insider, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, as a publicly traded company, at the end of a quarter or the end of the year, you have a certain period of time in which to file your results, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you have, the quarter has ended, call it, April 30th, right? So March 31st, the end of the first quarter. So March 31st, the first quarter has ended. Now you have 60 days before you file your results for the quarter. Well, during that 60-day period, Hector, people are still trading the stock, but they don't know, right, what the results are, right? So only insiders of the company during that period actually know what the results were for the quarter. Well, insiders cannot trade on that information. That would be insider trading, which is legal, right? So what we're doing is, from the information that we're gathering on the small and medium-sized businesses that operate in a particular sector, again, I keep going back to retail because that's an easy example for people to understand. So let's say you are looking to invest in a publicly traded company that operates in the retail sector, right? So what we do with Equity Insider is we gather data on the private companies that operate in that sector. So retailers, right, that sell similar products than the publicly traded retail entity. So we take the information from the private company and we establish correlations between the private company data and the public company that the investor is is interested in investing in. So we backtest the information and we establish correlations going back several periods. So what that will allow us to do is at the end of the quarter, when analysts, let's say, had forecasted that the particular retailer was going to come in at, let's say, $1, okay, earnings per share of $1, right? So this is the consensus forecast that the analysts have agreed on. They say, okay, you know what? We expect this retailer to come in at $1 per share. Now, the quarter has ended, so everything that retailer does from, you know, after March 31st does not count for the first quarter. The quarter's ended. So what we do with Equity Insider is we take a look at the information. We say, hey, you know what? The analysts were forecasting $1 per share, but our data, the analysis that we've done with the data that we've had, we've backtested everything. Our data is telling us that this company is going to come in more at $1.25, okay, per share, as opposed to the $1 per share that the analysts were forecasting. Mm-hmm. So now, given that information, right, we make that information available to our subscribers, and now it's going to be up to our subscribers to decide, hey, you know what? The analysts were forecasting $1 per share. Equity Insider is telling me, you know, that they have inferred that the retailer is going to come in at $1.25. Mm-hmm. So there's a possibility there for an earnings surprise. And we know that typically when a company beats the earnings estimates, then the stock price has a tendency to go up, right? Mm-hmm. Or vice versa. So Equity Insider, in a nutshell, is going to provide trading opportunities for potential earnings surprises to the subscribers. So that's the product that we're looking to come out with, probably not before the end of this year, but certainly within the first half of 2025, we expect to launch the Equity Insider product.
And then with the IE Pulse and the Cubeler Business Hub, they're kind of similar but different. And are they already launched, or are they launching? When are they launching?
We are looking to launch IE Pulse probably in early Q4 of 2024. So we're maybe just a few months away from the launch of that product.
Brilliant. Expanding on that, what are the results of those who have used the platform or have tested it out, even though maybe the products haven't been launched?
Well, the only product that's available right now is the Business Hub. Right. So the Business Hub, the small and medium-sized businesses have signed up on the platform. Unfortunately, there's only one of 4 main modules that are currently available on the Business Hub. It's the financing module. So we have facilitated last year, I think we facilitated a little bit over, that was the first year in Canada. We facilitated for over $1 million in loans between our financial institution partners and the small and medium-sized businesses that are on the platform. We're looking to potentially double that in 2024. That's just the financing module. So this is like one of the value adds that we have for our members. So we pre-qualify them for financing. The other modules that are going to be coming up, later on this summer, or the networking module. So we're going to allow our small and medium-sized businesses to be able to communicate with each other, post messages, explore business opportunities, and eventually basically give them a channel, the Canadian businesses here, give them a channel to sell to the Chinese market. So that's the networking module. Then we're going to have the advertising module. The advertising module is going to allow them to advertise their products and services. So they're going to be able to run ads, digital ads throughout the platform to tell people about their products and services. So all of these services are going to be, again, available to our members for free. The fourth module I should mention is from all of the data that we're gathering on the platform. Not only are we gathering data from the accounting software of the small and medium-sized businesses, but we're also going to be conducting polls, surveys. So all of this information, we're going to be producing market intelligence reports that we're going to be making available for download for free once again to our members.
Very nice, yeah. And then I was even in my head going back to the equity insider and this idea of, you know, being able to get this data. It's helping obviously the companies as well, not just the people who are subscribed, or although the company might be who subscribed. I was just wondering, could you then end up creating a scenario where you're predicting, a company's earnings or whatever it might be based off of how the company's been performing and the data you're collecting? Could that then create like a gray zone where you could even see some, SEC rules changing because you're creating a more transparent way around these things? I mean, it's speculation, and I might take this out of the interview, but I think it's quite an interesting question.
Well, you know what? Like, I mean, everything that listen. So when the analysts forecast earnings per share, what do, Hector? They gather information, right? They gather information everywhere. They talk to people. They do their own research, and I mean, it's not illegal, right? Like everybody's basically trying to figure out what a publicly traded company is going to do, right? So we're no different. We're just using technology, analytics, and AI to be able to do it. Now, your question is very interesting. Now, if we are too successful at with the equity insider product, could rules change? I don't see how, because we are basically gathering information on private entities, right? So that's not illegal. So yes, it could be like, it might create a minor disruption to the industry or the way, like, things operate the way, currently, but we don't foresee that as being illegal per se.
Sure. No, that makes sense. What would you say differentiates you from others in the space or even competitors?
You know what? There are a lot of companies in the financial data space that what they do is they gather data on publicly traded companies and they package it, right? They package the data, they create these different indexes and so on and so forth. What really makes us stand out is we are not using publicly traded company data. We have private company data, right? So we're gathering data on thousands of private companies, right? And we're getting data basically directly from the accounting software systems, which gives us access to sales, accounts payable, inventory, cost of goods sold, expenses, you name it, right? So this is something that the capital markets have not seen, right? So this is what makes us truly unique, in my opinion, and why I believe that the IEPulse product is going to be successful when we launch it later on this summer.
Perhaps now let's lead on to 3D. Obviously, we're on their channel here. Can you touch on your relationship with them and how that's developed over the years, but also as of very, very recently as well, which is exciting?
Yes. 3D Capital, we met 3D, I think, for the first time in late 2020 or early 2021. I have to say, Sheldon Inwentash is one of the, you know what, our business model is not easy to understand because it's different, right? So when you're trying to introduce something that is different that people have not seen, it's very difficult for them to grasp it. I have to say that Sheldon was one of the people that, almost immediately understood what we're doing, and that the company was not about what was going on in China with the transactions. It was about data, right? And that we have created our own engine to gather that data, right? So we have three companies, right? So you have Tenet, the publicly traded company, which is essentially a holding, but then Tenet owns Cubeler, which operates the business hub. This is the engine. This is the entity that gathers all of the data. And then we have another entity called Tenor's 3, which is the data science that basically develops the IEPulse, the equity insider product, right? So it's three different entities doing three different things that are all complementary to each other, right? So Sheldon was one of the a few people to grasp that concept very early on, and he has been through 3D has been a very strong support of the company. He has been supporting the company financially, and also he's been giving us valuable advice as a consultant. We talk to him. I bounce ideas off of him. He has a great network of people also that he introduces me to. So we've had a very good relationship with Sheldon and with 3D Capital, and we look forward to that relationship continuing.
What's the business model and revenue model? How do you make money and be self-sufficient?
As I mentioned before, like, I mean, the transaction fee model that we have in China, where we facilitate transactions and we charge a fee for that, that is going to continue to be part of our revenue stream. But the most interesting part of what we're doing right now with the data is we are creating a recurring revenue model where based on subscriptions, where people basically subscribe, whether it's IE Pulse or Equity Insider. So clients are going to be subscribing to various plans, and they're going to be paying on a monthly basis. So for example, for IE Pulse, all of these different indexes that we have, as I mentioned, we have 9, maybe 10,000. We'll have 9, maybe 10,000 different indexes in Canada, and then we'll have another 40,000 indexes in the US. So between Canada and the US, we're looking at a little bit more than 50,000 different indexes that clients are going to be able to choose from, right? So the price of each index will start at between $100 or $150 per month, right? And that ranges all the way up to $15,000 a month that people can pay for, that clients will be able to pay for, right? So the revenue model is subscription fee based, where you pay on a monthly basis. That's IE Pulse. Equity Insider is similar. So this is a product, basically, like I said, we're giving trading opportunities on specific stocks that we're going to be following, and that's also going to be on a monthly subscription plan basis, but the price is going to range from $10 to $20 a month. Okay, now the market for Equity Insider is different than the market for IE Pulse. So I'm just going to give you some figures in terms of the North American market potential. So for IE Pulse in North America, we've identified about 70,000 potential clients for IE Pulse. Okay, so 70,000 potential clients, and for Equity Insider, we've identified about 100 to 150 million potential clients. So these are individuals. So there's a lot more of them. So that gives you a sense of the potential market for both products.
That's helpful, and even gives you an idea of where this company could go. The stock rose quite a bit on Friday, just gone, and you've completed your first big financing in years. What are your plans to do with this money?
We have a couple of catalysts that need to happen before we can get to revenue. And the goal for 2024 is to get to revenue from our data plans as quickly as possible. I mentioned our objective is to do that at some point in early Q4. But before that can happen, we need to finalize the business hub, right? So there's, as I mentioned earlier, there's the networking module, and the advertising module, and the insights module. So we have to complete those 3 modules and start on a marketing campaign of the business hub, and then we have to finish the IE Pulse, the development of the IE Pulse product, and then marketing that as well. So the funds that we were able to secure last week will serve primarily for that. So complete the business hub, invest in a little bit of marketing, complete the IE Pulse platform, and invest in marketing to get that to market as well.
I like the 3 words you gave there as well: networking, advertising, and data collection. I mean, it's a good way to summarize the company. I might put that as the title for the video, which would be great. Who else other than 3D are you collaborating and partnered and working with?
So we've reached out to a few capital markets professionals, consultants, basically, to help us get the product just right. And we talked to them about marketing strategies, pricing, and so on and so forth. Now that's on the commercialization side of things. From a business partnership standpoint, on the business hub, there are a number of companies that we're looking to partner with. As I mentioned before, it's going to be very important for us to have data on a daily basis. So we're working on a couple of partnerships in that regard as well. So hopefully, like, I mean, these are things that we're going to be able to announce to the market in the coming weeks and months.
It's good to see that you're launching products in just a few months with another one coming in Q1 of 2025. What are your overall goals then? Is a NASDAQ or uplisting to another market back on the cards like it was, not too long ago and a few years ago?
Oh yes, absolutely. For those who are not familiar with the company, we did get listed on the NASDAQ in 2021. But the regulators stepped in because our company, as I mentioned before, our company started operations in China, and we were perceived as a Chinese company. So the regulators had some questions for us. So we had to withdraw our registration statement until the regulators basically finished their review of the company. Now that review was nearing its end, and then other things basically came up with the company. So right now, our focus is to make sure that the company gets back on track from a business operation standpoint. We commercialize our products, and we also have to make sure that our disclosure material is current and up to date. Now, once we do that, we're going to re-engage with the U.S. regulators to have a registration statement reinstated. And once that's done, then we can ask the NASDAQ to reinstate our listing. So yes, that's still part of the plans for the company, but a couple of things need to happen. So step by step, get the business back on track, make sure disclosure material is current and up to date, and then re-engaging with the regulators, getting our registration statement back reinstated, and so that we can get back our NASDAQ listing. So we anticipate that these things could happen hopefully before the end of the first quarter of 2025.
Oh, brilliant. Very exciting. And step 5, engaging with those regulators should be easier now that you're just a data, your whole focus is on the data side, whereas I could see maybe why in the past they maybe had a confusion thinking, oh, this is transactions in China, whereas this is going to be data. So that should be a heck of a lot easier.
Absolutely, yeah. There's much better clarity now. This is something that we had we were on the verge of finalizing with the SEC, but certainly now, like, I mean, the business model is much easier to understand, and they understand that this is not a Chinese entity, but rather a Canadian company. So yeah,
brilliant. What are some immediate catalysts we just touched on in a few months with one product? Do you want to expand on that, or any more catalysts you'd like to talk about?
No, I think like that pretty much sums it up. Like, I mean, getting the business hub finalized, and then getting the iPulse platform completed, and then just go to market.
Sure.
So those are the important things for us between now and the remainder of 2020.
And then finally, where do you see yourself or the company in 5 years from here?
Oh my goodness, 5 years. That's a long time. You know what? It all starts with the business hub, Hector. So right now we are in China, in Canada. So within the next 5 years, I would definitely want to see the hub in pretty much every continent, and really have the hub be a global network for small and medium-sized businesses, and allowing us to gather data to have really like a pulse on economic activity everywhere around the world. That is going to make this company so valuable if we're able to achieve that. So that's what I would like to. That's what I would like to see us accomplish in the next 5 years.
Yeah, and I can definitely see how people will pay massive premiums and subscriptions for things that are going to provide them more value, no matter what the price was for the thing that they're paying for, which is what you guys are doing. So very exciting stuff. Thank you very much for coming on, and I'm sure we'll have you on in a few months or in Q1 of 2025, looking on the up from here. So thank you once again for your time, Johnson.
My pleasure, Hector, and thanks for having me.